So today is day 36. And yesterday we kind of figured out how can we build a heptagon by using different shapes. And I'll show you two ways, and you're supposed to figure out the last way to figure out that heptagon. Today we're actually going to build different objects. So we're going to try to build a boat, a tree, and also we're going to try to figure out how can we finish this flower. But before we get into the lesson, let's get right into the date. Today is Thursday, May 28, 2020, and we're on day 36. Now let's watch this video.
You can use shapes to make pictures. You can use these shapes to make a house. What are the names of the shapes used to make this house? A triangle and a square. Which shape is the roof of the house? The triangle is the roof of the house. Could the triangle be placed on the sides or bottom of the square? Explain. No, the triangle needs to be on top. The triangle is the roof, and the roof is on the top of a house. You can add shapes to change the picture. You can add these shapes to the house. How is this house different from the first house? This house is larger. How many shapes were added to the first house to make this house? 2 shapes were added. When shapes are added, does the house become smaller or larger? The house becomes larger. You can use these shapes to make the house even larger. How is this house different from the second house? It is larger and taller. How many shapes were added to the second house to make this house? 2 more orange squares were added. Here are more pictures you can make. This picture looks like a sun or a flower. This picture is a plane or a fish. This picture is a cat. What shapes were used to make the cat? The cat is made from triangles, hexagons, and squares. How many of each shape were used? 10 squares, 1 hexagon, and 2 triangles.
Now you know about building with 2D shapes.
Yesterday we used trapezoid, rhombus, and a triangle or triangles to try to figure out how can we make heptagons. And I gave you 2 ways of how we made a heptagon, and you're supposed to figure out the last one, okay? So if you figure out the last one, you knew that it took a trapezoid, a triangle, and the last shape, I can't remember if it's the big one. It is. So we had 2 different sizes. So a trapezoid, a triangle, and a rhombus. Okay? So that means it took 1 trapezoid, 1 rhombus, 1 triangle, right? So we're gonna put what shape did it take? It's a triangle, a rhombus, and got all 3 filled out, okay? So you just watched a video about how to build different objects using these shapes. They built a fish, an airplane, a cat. They built a lot of things, okay? So today, we're gonna do the same thing, okay? So we're gonna answer these 3 questions by building shapes. By building objects, okay? So let's say use exactly 10 pattern blocks to build a boat. Using what you know about tens, how many pattern blocks would you need to make 2 boats? Explain in your math journal. Now, there are so many ways to make a boat. And I kind of played around with my own shapes a little bit and figure out how do I want my boat to look. Your boat might look different from mine. There's no right or wrong answer. You just have to use how many pattern blocks? 10, okay? So I'm gonna start off with my boat. So I know that my boat needs to be able to stand afloat on water. So I'm gonna start off with a base, which is a square, okay? Then I have to make my boat big enough so people can at least get in it. Now I realized I didn't want my boat to be so flat. I wanted it to kind of point up a little bit. So I decided to add some triangles. Okay? Now notice, whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side as well, so my boat can be even. Now I'm going to count my blocks to make sure I haven't got to 10 yet. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only got to 7, so I may need 3 more. Okay? So now my boat needs to kind of stand up a little bit. Okay? I mean, it like it's becoming a boat, but it's not really a shape to it yet. So I'm going to add some more pieces to it. And now I'm like, ooh, it's starting kind of to look like a boat. But I'm not quite done. I gotta have 10 pieces. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My last piece on top. Now, guys, it took me a while to kind of figure it out because I wanted to make my boat look a little fancy. But honestly, I could have made my boat a lot simpler by just using a lot of orange pieces and a little green on top, a little red on top to make it so people can get in, okay? So this is my boat. I'm gonna make sure I use 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But some of you might want to make your boat a different way. That's no right, wrong answer. If you look at the trapezoid and you hold a trapezoid like this, what did the trapezoid look like? It kind of look like a boat, right? So you can base your idea off this shape or a trapezoid to build your boat, okay? So that's my boat. Now, we build my boat. It says, using what you know about tens, how many pattern blocks would you need to make 2 boats? So if I use 10 shapes of pattern blocks to make my boat, if I need to make 2, how many pattern blocks do I need? Because I use 10 here, right? If I was to make a second boat, so this is boat 1. If I was to make boat 2, how many pattern blocks would I need or would I have? Good job. 20 blocks. Because it took 10 to build the first one, so that means I need how many to build the second one? This is a 10, so 10 plus 10 equals what? I can easily say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then count it again. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Or I can draw circles. Or just know what I know about tens. And I know that if I count by 10, I get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so forth, okay? Now it's your turn. So it says use pattern blocks to build a tree. Draw a picture of the tree below or in your journal. So once again, I'm using the shapes that I have because I printed out enough of them. But you can actually draw your shapes. So for example, and I'm gonna actually draw them this time. So how I drew my tree was, I drew a square, 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 okay? Now I'm just gonna do that over so you can see the definition better, okay? So, we said so you can see the squares, okay? So 1, 2, 3. I draw my last square. So I'm making my tree, remember. And remember the orange, our squares are orange, so this is why this is orange, okay? And then I had triangles. So one triangle was here, another triangle, another triangle. All right, so now I have 4 triangles. So now this is my tree, okay? Now I still use my triangles and squares. And I'm gonna use a black marker to show the highlights, okay? But I still use the shapes, but this time I just drew it so you guys could see how you can still draw the shape even if you don't have enough, okay? And now I have my tree. Now once again, like I said up here, your tree might look different, but this is how I wanted to make my tree, okay? And if I wanted to make it 10 shapes, what could I do? Just add on one more triangle, because that would just make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But you are not required to just use 10 shapes. But I just use 10 shapes because we use 10 shapes in the first one, okay? Now, at the bottom, so remember, you're gonna make the boat your way, you're gonna make a tree your way, and the last question said, draw pattern blocks, leaves, and petals to finish the flower. So this flowers look incomplete. So you need to finish the leaves and the petals. And show me that you can figure out what do you need to put here to finish your flower, okay? Once again, you can use all the shapes, all right?